This is Jim Williams with the Hurricane City Tropical Update for August 10th, 9 p.m. We have a new tropical depression, number 5, in the southeastern Gulf of Mexico. The National Hurricane Center sent the hurricane hunters out there this afternoon to investigate, and this evening they found a closed low-level circulation. Even though the winds don't really support tropical depression status, they decided to go ahead and classify this because within 48 hours this will make landfall in the northern Gulf Coast. Now, the yellow areas are from Intracoastal City all the way to Destin, Florida for tropical storm warnings. And that means tropical storm force winds are expected within 48 hours. Our current feature at Hurricane City is Grand Isle, Louisiana, in the southeast Plaquemines Parish here. And this will be an area that will be the first impacted area if the forecast track pans out. So let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast animation here using the HurTrack program. And let's go ahead and put it in motion. You'll see that it's a tropical storm by tomorrow afternoon. And then as we go in time, the tropical storm force winds will arrive in Grand Isle, Louisiana in the evening on Wednesday, which is tomorrow night. That's how quick this is all going to happen. And then you'll see the center of circulation makes its way onshore early on Thursday morning as a 45-mile-an-hour tropical storm, and then the system quickly winds down over southeast Louisiana and continues moving on inland and dissipating. Now, interesting that the GFS model continues to show this maybe circling back into the Gulf of Mexico in time. That's an unlikely course, but that is something we'll watch in the future. All right, here is the Hurricane Hunter fixes. This is from the last 3 hours, and again, if we mouse over the southwest winds that are on the south side of the circulation, we're only finding winds here around 10 knots down here. Now, the north side of the circulation, you're seeing, again, winds very light, 5 to 10 knots. There's a few gusts here around 15, here's a 17-knot wind. But basically very light winds. And again, if this was out somewhere way away from land, we would not see a tropical depression status for this system. But winds are very light out here, folks. This is not really tropical storm status by any stretch. Now, that could happen tomorrow at this time. We could see some convection fire up near the center, and this could easily become Tropical Storm Danielle. And that is why the forecast calls for that. All right, here is the enhanced imagery, the IR imagery, 4-kilometer shot from LSU. And you can see the system is winding up here, but our center of circulation is a very broad center of circulation. Now, what happened is we had a big upper level low over here, and this upper level low is kind of circled up in here. And so it's kind of wrapping as one big gigantic circulation here, and this is another reason why we're not expecting rapid intensification with this system. It's just a very broad circulation, and the larger these systems are, the more it takes the time it takes them to gather themselves. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that, but right now it's pretty weak this evening on the IR image. All right, here is the forecast from the National Hurricane Center, and you can see here at Thursday afternoon, it is inland in southeast Louisiana and then making that curve off to the northeast as a trough is going to swing down and take this up into the northeast direction into the southeastern United States. Here are the model runs on the system, and as you can see, basically west-northwest is the call. Now, the GFDL model is the only model that really shows this becoming a Category 1 hurricane, and then it abruptly takes it north near Morgan City, Louisiana, inland and up into the southeastern United States. The BAM model is pretty much taken into Plaquemines Parish. The Canadian model takes it up near the Florida Panhandle. It's a very weak system, and the GFS is kind of meandering it out here and then finally takes it into Louisiana. As a side note, the European model pretty much says the same thing. Basically, west-northwest is a very weak system in the southeast Louisiana. So the models are in pretty good consensus here this evening as to where this is going to go. Here's the wind field forecast showing tropical storm force winds of 39 to 58 miles an hour is the highest winds expected, and that's within this swath heading into southeast Louisiana. It looks like Florida, Mississippi, and Alabama at this point don't expect any tropical storm force sustained winds due to what would be Tropical Storm Danielle at that time. Now here is let me pan this image out. This is the heat content and the path that this system is taking. And we have a very low heat content in the path of this system as it heads towards Louisiana. Not as much as it would be if it was, say, over here, tapping into some of the deeper, warmer waters, or in the southeast, northwest Bahamas here, near southeast Florida. But this is taking the path of least resistance over the heat content. So, again, that's another reason why we're not expecting rapid intensification with this system. All right, here is the water vapor loop of the Atlantic Basin. Whoops, here's the water vapor loop. And let's go ahead and tell you what's happening here based on the water vapor loop. And again, we have this broad area of circulation out here with this small low pressure area embedded within that, which is Tropical Depression number 5, and that is generally heading towards Louisiana. We have another area here that is on the tail end of a trough. That's another big upper level low trough out here. Here's Invest 93L. Now, some of the models are still indicating that this is going to possibly become a tropical storm before it recurves out into the open Atlantic. Now, the system, believe it or not, that has the most concern in the future, looking at this map here, is right down here. There's no Invest on it or anything, but this area down here near east of the Windward Islands, the GFS indicates that in about 5 days from now, this could start developing and head more to the northwest and be a formidable system out here. So this is something we're going to have to keep an eye on going into next week for development. This system out here east of the Windward Islands. And again, the Cape Verde systems are starting to come off and develop, and we should see that pick up in the next week or two, more systems making it all the way across the Atlantic. All right, here are the models on Tropical Depression number 5 from TropicAtlantic.com. These are the early cycle models, and only 2 models really indicate that this is going to get up to hurricane status, and that is the GHMI model and the GFTI model. Both indicate this could get up to hurricane status. Now, the GHMI is a previous cycle run of the GFDL model. The GFDL model has been pretty consistent in taking this to Category 1 status. Keep in mind the GFDL model also predicted that Colin would reach hurricane status near Bermuda, and that never happened either. So take that for what it is. Most of these models keep this as a tropical storm at landfall in about 36 hours. And here are the late cycle models, which includes the GFDL and most of the aviation ensemble models, and they're showing potential for Category 1, of course the GFDL model, and the GFDT model, which is another version of the GFDL model, but all the other models keep this as a tropical storm for now. So that's the consensus right now amongst the models. Well, that's it for now. We'll be back with another update tomorrow. Now remember, at HurricaneCity.com, you can get the latest detailed information from the areas that are going to be impacted. Our current feature is Grand Isle, Louisiana. That may shift to the right or to the left depending on the forecast track during the next 24 hours. Thank you again for visiting Hurricane City.